Hey guys, welcome to Grim After Dark. My name is John, and this is your weekly Warhammer rundown where we hit the high points of the last week in the community, talk to the best players and content creators from around the world on the way. Tonight, we welcome the Warmistress Tanya Gates to the show to talk about her painting, her streams, how she got into this awful, deep, all-consuming hobby of ours, and then also the fun of moderating some of the largest Twitch streams of Warhammer. Spoilers, it's not that fun. That's okay though. My co-host tonight, he needs some introduction. As always, he is the terror of the mid-tables. It's Danny McDivett. And I'm just going to say that because, Danny, I just noticed I didn't change what I was going to say about you, even though you were still my partner for the Long War Doubles. Danny, how are you doing?
John, I'm here. I'm ready to
You,
party.
your name is Danny, and you were here to party.
My name is
That's
Danny McDivett, and I'm here to party. To
that is
paraphrase
a
another famous 40K
no.
celebrity.
That is trademark Grim After Dark 2022.
Okay, got it. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, yeah. Danny, now we know only the worst, most self-absorbed people go through the internet comments of their own content.
Yep.
So let's do that. First off, we have Peter Duke Falcon Calissimo, who went
hmm
back to the comment section of our pre-LVO Hypecast to make sure people knew he made the right call about Siegler. Danny, what are your thoughts about Falcon's congratulatory backpacks
I
going on
mean,
here?
despite any thoughts I have of insider trading that occurred with this a little bit, I do appreciate. He was right in the end. He did
He
say,
was.
yeah, Siegler comes in like from the back with a steel chair. And then, yeah, somebody made an art piece about it even.
Yeah. Luckily, like, he tried to go put that bet down in a Vegas casino,
Yeah.
and all the casinos were just like, "What's a Siegler?
Yeah, what are you
Who are
talking
you? Please leave." Were like the main reactions he was getting there. But yeah, he did call it. So good job, Falcon, on calling that there. And speaking of Falcon, Dark Shadow Rift jumped in with this comment where he says, "Now I know why this is the guy whose promo code I used to shave my balls. Best guest you've ever had." Danny, what's your takeaway on that episode being like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense why they would use that guy."
Well, first of all, thank you for using promo code Falcon to save yourself 20% on all Manscaped products, along with free shipping. But it
Like
does make
Pitbull
sense. I
worldwide.
mean, that man is a hairy like the impetus. I could see like looking at Peter and then being like, "Man, I've got to shave my balls." That really kind of just works together. Like he's a hairy man, so it just fits.
It's a good constant reminder. Everyone should have a picture of him in their bathroom as a constant reminder of when it's time to groom. Um, we have a small editorial retraction. As well, last episode, Danny, I don't know if you realized, we called LVO a young man's game, with half of the top eight being kind of fresh faced, younger folk.
Yeah.
Alex McDougall himself came and commented, "Excuse me, doing well at LVO is a young man's game? 34 over here, my guys." Um, so yeah, fourth place, Tyrannid Tyrant, Alex McDougall pointed out that he came fourth at 34 years young. Well, many might call that the fourth place the third loser.
Yeah, I
Danny,
would.
what's your take on this geriatric dream stealer? Please ignore the fact that you and I finished 335th and 480th, respectively.
Correct.
Yeah.
And us at the spry young age of 38, right? Like
Yeah.
we're really out here showing what it's like for the rest of us. Meanwhile,
Okay.
this patriarch is
I
is
like how it
getting
goes
paid. Fair enough.
34 years old, fourth place, 38th, mid 350s,
Man,
maybe like 500, something like
those
that.
4 years are rough, dude.
They're really rough. Really, really rough. Guys, super personal talk time. Um, Grim After Dark, we feel is sort of like Fight Club. You don't talk about it, and our download numbers really represent that. And we thank you for real, like representing the first and second rules of Grim After Dark. It's just between us, and it became very apparent last week that some of you don't believe that when a Twitch user on the Honest Wargamers channel tried to tell on us by saying that Val was throwing shade at the Honest Wargamer on the FLGN show last night. Which again, good job, Danny, and us branding on the show, as that's now multiple times being referred to as just one of the FLGN shows.
Well, no,
That
no,
aside,
we are
yeah.
the FLGN show. There's only
Oh,
one, apparently.
that's fair.
Just
That
kidding.
is.
There's actually many quality programs on the FLGN. You guys should check them out. Basically every weeknight.
Yeah. Yeah, all the important ones anyway. That aside, big Frontline Gaming found out, as we saw there, as they commented by just yelling shade, which I can only assume it was a primal rage-induced scream. And in no way was Val accidentally being logged onto the wrong Twitch account while he was recording the adjacent
Correct.
show. Danny, what do you think about the far and legally questionable overreach of the Frontline Gaming Network online?
Um, well, I mean, I think that we need a system of checks and balances, John. And obviously that's not happening yet, but someone needs to like put Val in check a little bit, because I think that there's, maybe some abuse of power going on here.
Yeah,
You hate
that's
to
totally
see the
fair.
corruption. You hate to see
You
yeah,
hate to
I know.
see it. Yep.
I know.
Absolute power corrupts
It's
absolutely.
true. So
Also,
corrupt.
apparently, makes you look pretty hungry. As this next clip, I did watch all of the adjacent show on on his Wargamer last week. This next bit from Twitch chat here is just this guy trying to send Val food. Wants to DoorDash him a bagel from the other side of the world. Danny, what do you think it is about tyranny and absolute power that makes you look hungry all the time?
I mean, you're hungry for power. I think it's a direct correlation, right?
Can you
So,
DoorDash power? I mean, I
I
think that's
mean,
what we're really going
apparently,
for.
yeah, and it comes in the form of a bagel.
It
So,
does. It does. The,
famous tyrant's dish, the bagel.
the big Paul Potts' favorite was the sour cream and chive.
Yep.
Anyway,
He ate a lot of
moving
rocks,
on,
John.
we're gonna move past this digital underpass that Val was living under, get, getting food. Um, Tower back and made to order form with some classic ethereals coming, including this ethereal with shake weights or equalizers. I gotta say, I did this really poor Photoshop on this thing really quick. All I saw was shake weights when he was holding that out there. So he has got real great forearms. But
Did
Danny,
you
how
even
you
Photoshop this?
very little, as you can
Yeah,
probably tell. Don't look too closely. Producer Val, if you could take that off the screen immediately so people
I
can stop
won't,
seeing where the
but
whew,
okay, yeah,
amazing. It was a really poor Photoshop. Daddy, you're playing a bunch of Tau right now. How
I
are
am.
your experiences with Tau coming along with this new book?
Pretty great. Um, yeah, it's real good. We'll see how that affects the overall health of the game. I'm sure eventually it'll be fine.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
yeah.
I'm excited for Eldari to come and make us
Oh
forget that
man, me
Tau are bad.
too. Oh, tell me about John. You keep whispering sweet nothings in your ear. I just built Jane's R tonight. I'm getting ready.
Oh my god, please don't. I'm so happy you live in a different state from me right now. Let's just start with that. Would you like I noticed you've been building a lot of Tau though.
Yeah,
Even building Phoenix Lords like James R, who can't die in one phase anymore. Would you like to talk to about this conversion you did, which I like to title "Standing on the Shoulders of Giants"?
it's true. This is my new prediction of the meta. We'll see if this comes true. Um, this is my Tau Cold Star Commander. It'll be a Custodes statue that he's jumping off of, but yeah, he's ready to party, just like me.
When the Eldari book comes out, are you going to just put like a fire dragon on
Yeah,
top of that
I'm
pile?
just
So
gonna
it's just
actually stack Baharoth on top of that. It'll be
it's just
perfect. It'll be perfect.
continual dunking on dunking on dunking. Oh man.
Eventually, the
Hey,
model will be about a meter tall. So, sorry, we have a lot of Canadians on tonight. I feel like I need to use the metric system
yeah, we're
to
switch to the
understand.
metric for one night. That's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Speaking about numbers and figures, let's delve some into Warhammer community from this week. Price increases are coming, with some models increasing 5 to 10%. We're seeing increases in codexes. Lucky you, Australia, you're only spending far too much instead of
You
far,
only
far
marked
too
up like
much still.
50% anyway. It'll be fine,
No,
right?
55%. You escaped this round, sneaky boys. Uh, Danny, what are your thoughts on sort of the price increases? We have this meme here from Tabletop Inquirer, which is following 2 years of 7% inflation. GW sticks its obvious with a 5% price increase. Again, being awful corporate shills that we are for many different people. Thank you,
Mhm.
many overlords. What are your opinions on this?
It's fine. I don't know what. I mean, what?
Didn't even give me time to sip my water. I love it.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
won't. I can't stop, won't stop, John. I told you.
I just I just want to respond to every single Facebook comment and Reddit comment with the gif from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Mac and Charlie in suits and top hats being like, "Oh, the poors are crying again." That just seems like
Did you
really
get addicted to
insensitive about it.
crack?
Did you? Yeah, for sure. Plastic crack. It's an expensive hobby, guys. And I dare you to find a hobby that is significantly cheaper with a significant time
I mean,
investment that's put in.
I could name a few, like, just off the top of my head, John.
I said I dare. I didn't want you to actually do it.
Okay.
That
Well,
really kind of
did you not
undermines
just
my
dare me?
point.
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by this.
Yeah,
Can
but
you help me out?
dare like the ineffective school
Oh, like
program.
the
So
listeners.
yeah,
Okay, I see.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I dare people who can't directly contact me right now to do it, because that makes it really easy to shill my point in all the way home. Also, yes, I get it. You own a 3D printer. It's wonderful. That's great. They're a useful tool. Simply replying to any post, haha, 3D printer go burr. Not clever or original. And in fact, it just makes you look like you can have a 3D printer. You can
Yeah,
print
totally.
stuff. But just
Apparently, chat is saying that only we, as big time Games Workshop reviewers, can afford this price increase.
I was just so gonna say the price increase, you really don't feel it as much when you get free product for a review, and we
Yeah,
thank you for
that's fair.
that. Looks like I have a thesis for my first world problem essay right here, huh? Um, also, also from Warhammer community, range rotation now not just for hobbits in the Middle Earth, as many Space Marine heroes are being temporarily retired. Danny, there's a large list of Space Marine heroes here. Some handsome northern gentlemen took screenshots and put it all on one PDF so it could be
Well,
on a
that's
single
nice.
page.
Yeah.
Put them all up there. Any surprises for you in that list there? I know for me, like Artemis was one that was like, huh,
Artemis?
yeah, Watch Captain Artemis, the Death Watch guy.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at the back on
And
screen
the
there,
Blood
yeah.
Angels captain is plastic too. I thought that was weird.
Mhm.
Um,
That's
why are we why are we doing these Flesh Terror shoulder pads? Like, why?
like, why are we doing them? Like,
Yeah,
why are we
like,
producing them?
have you ever? So first of all, as someone who has built and painted a Flesh Terror's army, I have used these pads on numerous occasions. They are tiny, John. They're tiny. They're the tiniest little shoulder pads you've ever seen in your entire life. And so for them to like keep making these is like, I don't know, very strange to me.
I do want to say, as soon as you said that, I just had the image in chat. I can't see what you're saying. Someone's going to pretend that this is what you're saying. Is a bunch of 3D printers go burr comments just in sheer defiance of my ask earlier. But mainly firstborn. Obviously, no Primaris in there. Those are all really new. Do you think that's by design, Danny?
Sorry, what was that? I was Val's made an actual good joke, so I was laughing. What were you saying?
What? No. What was Val's good joke? Let's do this third.
Oh yeah,
The
so
best way to consume
let's talk about
content
Val.
is
Val
like
says they're not
secret
made
whisper
for
style.
you. He says they're not made for you, Danny. What is this? A shoulder pad for ants? It's pretty good.
Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good. The one
Yeah.
week we wish we had the Serval skull working properly.
I know.
Yeah.
The 1 week.
The one, yeah. But this is the first time we've ever had technical problems. Hey, we're gonna touch on this like a little bit here, Danny. Because I like to say Gondor calls for aid by lighting fires atop of mountains. Games Workshop's Metawatch articles performs a similar function, but instead of aid, they get nerds picking their stuff apart like vultures on a corpse. To be fair, they did make one or two minor errors about LVO. Danny, did you get to catch that Metawatch article at all?
I did in the aftermath.
What was your opinion on that?
Apparently, one of the discords I am is the Lucas fan club, so I got to hear a lot of complaining about him not being mentioned in that article, which is fair. I mean, he did very well. He should have definitely been mentioned, but
I think, again, going back to last time when we were talking about how GW's number one business strategy in practice right now is to belittle and ignore their customers and not promote the game so no one buys stuff. And this was a really good way to do it.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, it feels a little out of touch, right? Like that they would miss people or like not even look at what the shadow round was.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's
not
sort
good.
of late. They'd been up a long time. They
It's
had to
true.
walk
They
around.
didn't actually make the finals, so who cares, right?
They had to guard that avatar model. They asked one of the guys changing
True.
the water bottles over, like, "Hey, who won? Was there orcs?" And he goes, "I don't know what an orc is."
Yeah, what's an orc?
Yeah,
Um,
only peer-reviewed sources.
well, yeah. What are the red circles in this? Are those
Oh,
stone mirrors?
that is a joke that I dropped due to his negativity.
Oh,
And
okay.
man, if
Sorry.
it's a joke I don't find funny, and my jokes usually are not funny, then that just
If you
gives you
want,
an
I can.
insight of how bad it is.
Yeah, if you want, I can explain it to people.
No, no, it's
Would
fine.
that be helpful?
Yeah, yeah. Explaining jokes makes everything all the fun.
Anyway,
Moving on. Hey, let's do this. So last week Val said I did this in a very poor and what was the word he was using there, Danny? Like unbelievable manner when I
oh,
was doing this little ad read here. So we're gonna try a little harder here. Here we go.
okay.
So
Yeah, dude, give it your all.
okay.
You
The
got this.
Frontline Gaming Cherokee Open is the next big event and kicks off the 2022 ITC season. The new chapter approved will be in use. The Cherokee Open takes place in the beautiful Smoky Mountains on the Cherokee Reservation, just a few hours from Hotlanta, Charlotte, Chattanooga, and many other cities. The venue is awesome. It's in a brand new convention center. It has an entertainment center with bowling alleys
Like
and an
one entertainment
arcade
center.
attached to the resort, a singular entertainment center. That's all you need because it's so entertaining.
It's got
It
a
is
45
just
inch.
down the road from the national park. I don't know which one, but it is the national park. Board games will be available to play for free after the tournaments. Don't you dare try and play those board games during the tournaments. And there is a meet and greet planned for Thursday night at the bar.
Oh,
Tickets are still on sale for the 40 Kid Champs and the Long War Doubles. Come battle it out for your ITC points and have a fun weekend hanging out with your buddies. Also, please make sure you're winning the right way by striking the re-celebration pose that we have up here. Again, what do we have that? Perfect. Yeah, we need the the right fist pumped upwards, the left fist in a threatening manner towards your opponent. This is the only way to maximize your ITC points for the 2022 season. Do you think Siegler, after each event he won, didn't do that pose? Because
no,
you're
he sure
wrong.
did.
He sure did. Yeah, the only one time he didn't do that, Atlantic City. He came fourth.
Yeah, there you go.
Science.
What does that tell you,
Amazing.
John?
Oh man, it tells me I've been talking too long. Danny, why don't you bring our guest in and let us know the what up?
Okay. Well, tonight we are pleased to welcome War Mistress Tanya Gates to the show. Tanya is well known for her 40K content that she does. She's featured in like a million different things, so you've probably seen her around, like either on Play on Tabletop. You've seen her on Scari's channel. Like she's been everywhere.
Many
So
pies.
yeah, and her hobby streams are legendary. So welcome, Tanya. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. That's quite the introduction.
Oh,
Hopefully I can live up to it. Jeez.
It's like it's Danny's whole thing. He builds you up to the point where it's just, you're like, "Oh god, what do I do now?" And then it just tanks the rest of the interview. It's great.
Right? It's like all downhill from that introduction.
Yeah, so you are taking like a little bit of a very necessary occasionally like mental health sabbatical. So thank you for coming back and talking on this ridiculous set and our ridiculous show. I guess starting off, let's go all the way kind of back to the beginning. What brought you to Warhammer sort of in general and kind of when abouts were we looking at?
I guess you kind of have to go like all the way back cuz like my very first memory that I ever have is watching Return of the Jedi with my mom on the couch on like a really crappy like recorded VHS tape. That's how old I am. Um
On the plus
and
side, that's the good unedited versions where they didn't add a bunch of random stuff for no reason.
That's right. That's right. That's the dinosaur versions. Um, and then my mother also watched Star Trek, the original series with me as well. So my love of sci-fi started when I was like just a wee lass. And but I never got exposed to anything Games Workshop until I met my husband back in 2012. And I think he was painting like blood angels or something at the time, and we had just sort of started dating, and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, there's like a strategy and tactics game that goes along with it." And I was like, "Okay." And I started painting immediately, but this was like the end of 7th edition, so we
Mhm.
played a few Floorhammer games, and I was like, "No." Uh,
Seventh, of
uh,
course, the most balanced edition with zero
mm,
issues whatsoever.
right. So I painted a lot, and uh after like a few years of that, I started a different hobby, which was playing a sport. And then I did that for 5 years, and then I got hurt and I couldn't do that anymore. But I really missed like the tactical plays and everything in that sport. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go back and try wargaming again. And played a bunch of Age of Sigmar, and then everybody stopped playing Age of Sigmar, but it was 8th edition. So I jumped into Warhammer 40k, and then it's just been soul sucking and life consuming since then.
Those are the words I used. I got
Yeah.
it right. It is soul sucking and life
Yeah,
consuming.
yeah.
What was your husband's pitch? Because I know Danny. I mean, Danny. I think you've tried to get your wife to play. For me, like again, it's not a hey, let's play this thing together. It's hey, let me make sure you consume,
Yeah.
take all of these things. So what was his pitch?
Look at this cool thing I painted.
It was that simple this whole
That's it.
time. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Oh.
yeah. That's it.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh. And so what was your first army? Kind of what were you drawn to initially?
So my very first army that I painted was Chaos Space Marines. I really thought like, okay, I kind of identify with the bad guys, and this was before I knew anything about the lore and knew that everybody was a bad guy in Warhammer 40k. So I was like, Chaos Space Marines, they're the bad guys, and they kind of just like do their own thing. So
Mhm.
um, I painted them. I painted probably about 1,000 points of them, and then I was like, oh my god, this trim. I can't do this anymore.
That's fair.
Um, yeah, and then after that, I switched to Space Wolves, and that was what I mostly played, and I played that in eighth actually a little bit as well.
Okay.
And then I transitioned into Imperial Guard, which became like my true love. And right now I am again transitioning over into Custodes, and I play orcs, but just sort of for fun on the side.
Why yes or no?
What?
When you play orcs,
Yeah.
there's this general thing, awful people decide they want to disrupt everyone else's tournament experience
You mean wonderful people?
by yelling
Whoa.
"Wah."
You already
No,
know what her
I
answer is.
don't mean to kind of try and direct how I feel about this whole thing or kind of alienate the question at all, but how
Not
do you feel about rude
only
people?
not only do you wah really loud because you have to, otherwise it doesn't work. But whenever somebody else wahs, then you have to wah even louder, because if they're louder than you, then they're a better war boss, and you can't have that.
Danny, are you still on the no whying page?
Yeah.
Or are
Oh,
you just like,
far and away again. Every time I play Seth on Tabletop Simulator, he yells into the microphone really loud, and so I just like mute him. And then I come back on. I say, hey, "Is it over yet?"
of course, the option that's not available in real life. You said you were super drawn to the guard, Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, whatever you want to call them there. What was it that drew you to those? Was it kind of more of like a lore thing? Was it like a model range thing?
It's actually a play style thing. So I was playing Space Wolves, very melee heavy, and it just wasn't really vibing with me. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go completely opposite. I'm gonna go gunline. So my husband had a few models. We put together a little list, and I was like, I like tanks. This is really cool.
Ye-
um, and
Yeah.
then yeah, it just really vibes with my play style. I kind of play defensively and reactively, which I think is, I mean, it's one way that you can play guard, but it just really suits my play style.
Favorite guard unit?
Hellhounds.
Oh, good choice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say zero hesitation right
No,
there.
Yeah.
no.
What is it that makes them your favorite?
They're like a giant gas tank on treads.
Okay, I mean that's the orc player in you coming out again, but absolutely, that's a fantastic reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second favorite is Bulgrin, my second favorite unit. So gotta include those.
What I'm hearing, Tanya, is that your favorite units from Imperial Guard are the most aggressive ones.
Do you think so? Do you think Hellhounds are aggressive?
I mean, they have to be, don't they, to work? Like, don't they have to kind of shove up to the mid-table?
To
Waddle?
work, though.
Well, yeah, okay.
I mean, we're talking about guard units here,
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
They
That's
do
fair.
their best.
I know. That's all you can ask of any unit in the Imperial Guard Codex. Is that
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thematically, Tanya leaves all of her Hellhounds in her deployment zone as they haven't passed their pre-battle inspections yet.
They didn't
so they have
wah.
to just gonna like hang out there. They didn't wah. Empower those orcs. Holy cow. So those first few Floorhammer games you were having, what are some like really great memories from those? Because Floorhammer is like a very unique thing. I don't think a lot of people get the experience of, especially now when you have like tables and all this terrain so readily
Oh
available.
no, yeah, you have all these great tables and mats from Frontline Gaming. Don't use code LVO 2022.
Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Be sure not to go to the Frontline Gaming website if you are going to the Cherokee Open and pre-order your table for pickup for the low price of $175.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Floorhammer, Tanya.
I mean, it was the end of 7th, so I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's fine. I don't have very many pleasant memories of 7th either.
No. Guys, was it invisibility? Was that what hurt you guys? Was it invisibility or was it the
and like free draw pods and stuff, you know.
Warp spiders. I can keep going if you want. There's lots of things.
No, it's all so bad. I don't. All you guys are doing is reminding me like I don't like 7th, and then we have like a group locally who's like, "Hey, we should play Heresy again. Let's get some 30K going." I'm like, "That's still using that 7th edition rule set, huh?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "No, no, that seems awful." It's a toned down invisibility. Did it tone down the rest of the rule set? I don't think so.
Sure didn't.
Anyway, as you were kind of growing and collecting more armies and kind of doing things, what made you want to start creating content?
I guess so. I started an Instagram account, and that was just to document my sort of hobby progress. I wanted to see through like a photo diary how my painting was getting better over time, and it sort of quickly became this giant thing that I wasn't really prepared for. But I do remember when I was first getting started back in the hobby that there weren't actually that many uh like lady creators out there. There were a few, and actually most of them kind of aren't around anymore. And it was a pretty lonely time for me because I couldn't really share a lot of my work or my love for the hobby online because online spaces were not very friendly for women back then. And
Oh, that's why you say "were" like it's a past tense.
well, it was worse back then.
Sure.
Okay.
So and I guess once that Instagram account took off, I just wanted to be like the friendly woman content creator that I kind of wished existed back then when I was getting started. Yeah.
That's a really admirable goal.
Yeah.
I
Because it is super difficult, right? Because
Yeah.
you anytime you search like Warhammer and Danny, like I know from like our YouTube analytics for mob rules, like your viewership, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's 100% male, like 35
Yep.
plus, like it's a very kind of specific thing. So breaking in, like GW did their whole like Warhammer is for everyone. But if you're not kind of seeing yourself represented out there, then that kind of causes a little bit of an issue. What sort of positive feedback were you getting? Because I mean, we could talk for days about how people on the internet are
Garbage people.
They're
are
poo-poo
just
heads.
garbage people. They are poo-poo heads. Tyler doesn't
Yeah.
have to edit that at all.
Nope.
We're not going to say shit heads because Tyler would have to edit shit heads.
I don't
We'll
think
say
he does.
poo-poo heads
I
instead.
think that's fine. I think shit
Okay.
is fine.
What about heads? Heads maybe? Do you have to
Yeah,
edit that
you're
one?
definitely going to get it there, buddy.
Dang it. Dang it. But what are some like really positive interactions you got? Because I have to imagine, God, I mean, I hope to imagine that there were some really positives out of there.
I actually get a lot of messages from dads who say that their daughters are interested in trying the game now because they've seen me play on tabletop or mini wargaming or a number of other places, or even they've heard me on Forge the Narrative and they've started asking their dad, like, who is that? And I screenshot and keep all of those messages that I get. They're very special to me because, well, obviously there's a new generation of women coming up who are going to be more empowered in this hobby than I was when I was first starting. And if I can be even just a small part of that, I feel extremely honored.
Yeah. Who are some, aside from yourself,
That's super
obviously?
awesome, by the way. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's really, really cool.
I think it's
Yeah.
pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Aside from yourself, who are some amazing female content creators who are kind of really furthering that inclusion and kind of letting people actually know that Warhammer's for everyone?
I think that Katie over at Tabletop Tactics, I think that she's doing a really great job of just sort of being herself and enjoying the learning process and putting herself out there. And she's actually been a really good support network for me this year as well. And her partner Maxine is doing amazing things on Instagram as well to help further women actually playing this game. Um, so those are two people that really really inspire me. There's a lot of people on Instagram who maybe don't branch out so much into actually playing the game. But there are a couple. So there's K.Legs with two S's, and she goes to a tournament like every other weekend, it seems like, and is really sort of documenting her process in vlogs and stuff. And my friend Kaylee, also known as Nurgle Snurgle, she's the same. She's out on the east coast of Canada, and she's
Sorry, you said
documenting
Nurgle Snurgle.
Nurgle Snurgle. Yeah, that's the name of her YouTube channel as well, Nurgle
Nice.
Snurgle. Yeah, so she's sort of documenting her process as well, and she's part of a group that does live streamed games on Twitch,
Mhm.
and then you can watch them back on YouTube as well. So there are women out there doing content. They just don't seem to have the same kind of platform, I think, that a lot of men do.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Do you see that changing? Because we're seeing kind of like really the growth. Because like how you came to sort of my attention in particular was through like your presence and like an Instagram and Twitter and even through play on tabletop. Do you think it's kind of like everyone is kind of gently rising up in this past couple of years?
I do think so, and I think that the established content creators in particular in our field tend to sort of raise the women up with them that are obviously like putting in an effort. um I think that the rest of the Warhammer community will sort of come around to this idea of supporting women more, as long as these established content creators keep doing the amazing job that they're doing by giving us platform and just allowing us to play games on streams and allowing us to play games on battle reports with them and stuff. I think that is really important.
Mhm. Yeah. You mentioned before you were involved a little with play on tabletop,
Hmm.
which by the way, JT, I love you. I
Yeah.
miss you. I wish you could have come down to Vegas. Big up.
I
How
love
did
you
you
and
get
miss you
him?
too, JT.
How
We
did you get
all love
involved?
JT. Let's
We
be
all
honest.
love JT.
Yeah.
Guys, go back after this episode. Watch our episode with JT. He is just the most amazing human being, and I got to film him in a singlet, which was very disturbing.
Do
But
you want to know my great JT story?
I was gonna say, I was like, one,
Please.
like, how did you get involved? But like, screw that. Let's get that away. Tell
Okay.
me your amazing JT story.
Okay, so JT had like a little get together at his house, and him and Scary were having like the Archon off, right? And like the rest of us are just like out because they're like laser focused and really boring. So the rest of us are outside drinking beer, and then when they're done their game, they both come out, and I was like, JT, can you make my wrestling dreams come true? And he's like, I was like, can you just give me like one of those like big wrestling, like open hand slaps to the chest? And he was like, yeah, okay, sure. So yeah, he did it. Everybody else flinched, and I have it on video and it's saved to my memories, and I'm never deleting that video ever.
Oh, I would
Fantastic.
not be brave enough. Danny, would you be brave enough to get a chest chop from JT?
Hell yeah, I would.
Yeah.
He would treat me right. I know he would. I'm not
No,
scared.
the whole
I'm not
point is
scared of a
these
little
hurt,
pain.
and they look like they hurt.
I used to play roller derby, so it wasn't that bad. I've been hit harder by chicks.
Did you tell him that like
Yeah, of
immediately
course I
afterwards? Just
did.
perfect. Love it.
I was like, that's nothing like getting a can opener from Born to Hula.
You say you did roller derby. What was your roller derby name?
My roller derby name was Tannibal Lecter, and my number was 1701, which is the call number of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guys, if you're listening to the audio of this, I just said a chef's kiss because that is Tannibal Lecter is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Was there kind of a thing when you told other people like in your team your roller derby name? They're like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Or was it like real hatred that you had such a rad name?
And they had nothing.
So my group, it was like, well, I don't know, there were some really great names. Like,
Okay.
yeah. I feel like everybody was super supportive and they really wanted you to love your derby name. So yeah, I was one of the few kind of like play on words derby names though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real skill. But like I said, you've been on play on tabletop a bunch. How did that kind of connection go around? And how did you get involved with those people?
So actually my very first tournament that I ever went to, there was a few of the Play On guys there. So Tack was there and Space Marine Steve was there. And at that time I had no idea who they were. My husband had to work the Saturday, so he came out on the Sunday and he was like, "Hey, do you know who those people are?" And I was like, "Huh, no, I'm dealing with social anxiety. I'm just trying to get through my games." And he was like, "Oh, they're from that Play on Tabletop channel," and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." Sweaty pits, right? And so then the summer after that, I went to another tournament, and JT was there, and I guess maybe like I believe at that time he was still on the same ITC team as Alex McDougall, so maybe that's how he found out who I was. But he saw my army at that point, and then yeah, asked if I would come in and play a game. I was like, sure, sounds
Sick.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And how was that filming experience? Because playing on tabletop, they have a very specific and like distinct style in the way they film.
Mhm.
Was this sort of like your first film battle report that you had done with those guys, or so how did that differ from like an actual game for you?
The length of time that it takes to basically you have to do everything twice almost, right?
Yep.
So a 3-hour game in this case, I believe it became like 8 hours to film everything. So that it's like a marathon. Like you have to wear good shoes and make sure that you're drinking water and to just take care of yourself because it's a long day. Um, but in terms of that, I actually did a battle report with Space Marine Steve, who I also adore very, very much. So it was just us bantering like the entire time. And I wish that they would have made like a blooper reel because we had so many good jokes. But unfortunately, there's no blooper reel. So,
Oh.
yeah.
No, that's okay. This show doesn't even have enough good jokes to make like a promo reel, let alone a blooper reel.
I mean, it's basically been declining in value as soon as we started. Like it just has been going downhill the entire time. No offense. Sorry.
No,
it went back up again when we introduced you, like when you came on after the introduction. Then it's up.
Yeah. But then it's like real audio slave moments right here. Which is a reference I will never let a certain Eastern Canadian based producer live down. Which is also my favorite joke on this entire show, like this entire time. Like I've spent hours writing for this, like delving for pictures, finding like the greatest guests, and my favorite joke is Val telling us we're bad and not what he expected.
So the chat asked when we're gonna have a Grim After Dark battle report. And I want to be like, well, we were gonna go on Play on Tabletop, but then that got nixed.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
before Grim After Dark got started, we were invited to come and do a Danny versus John battle report. Which, if anyone has followed us for a long time, would be the equivalent of us showing up, me deploying, realizing I've lost in deployment, and then having to spend 7 hours with that knowledge that I would lose. But then the small thing called COVID happened, and Canada very selfishly and rightly shut their borders. So that
fair.
got canceled. Yeah, completely fairly. Like I totally understand, but yeah, that kind of went around. And then again, guys, like Danny was my main opponent throughout all of COVID. I think we only played each other, which meant I went about a year and a half without winning a game. Until again, I said at the top of the show here, my LVO record 480th, which is a round number, but it's not a great one. Not a great one. Danny, you want to add anything in here? I'm just going to be sad for a minute.
You got a lot better as COVID went on. I will say that was pretty great.
I did.
Yeah, you did. You did good, man. I think you were playing. You were playing your heart out.
You really ruined a couple of RTTs after you left by just beating me into the dirt. For like that's a really weird situation, right? And there's both of you guys here where like you spend like a long time and you just get your butt beat the entire time. You're like, oh man, I really suck at this game, and then you go and play someone else, and you're like, oh, maybe I don't. Tanya, who's your Danny? Who always beats you? And then who is maybe your other person who you're like, well, I feel pretty good now. I beat you.
Oh yeah.
Well, originally the person that always beat me, and this sounds awful, but it was my husband. And
in Warhammer.
Yes, in Warhammer, just to clarify.
Good correction, John.
But then I was like, oh man, I'm sick of sucking so bad at this. So then I asked Alex McDougall to like show me a few things here and there. And now my husband and I are like 50-50. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. And then Alex McDougall was just the person who would just kick my butt every single time. But
34-year-old old man of LVO who came in
he's
fourth.
He's like a year and a week older than me, and every year on my birthday, he's like, "Oh, 1 foot closer to the grave. You're such an old person." Yeah.
Well, Alex McDougall, of course, famously relies on statistics and probability, and with a longer lifespan, statistically proven. And he's technically correct, the best kind of correct in that one, I would say. Danny, who is your? I never asked you. Who is your person? We're gonna just completely ignore that. Who is your person you always beat, and who is the person that always beats you?
Oh man. Well, the person I always beat, of course, is John Miller. That man is in my pocket for like eternally. That's a local player to Alaska. A lot of people are not going to get that, but that guy, every time.
Just some background. John, great guy, really good player, super good player. He only plays Blood Angels. He's really good at Blood Angels.
Me too.
Every time he plays Danny, he will lose, regardless. Like he gets in his own head pre-deployment, and then he loses, and it's hilarious because Danny, you graciously rub it in like turn 1 onwards and let him know I'm going to beat you.
No, it's before the game starts. I'm like, look, man. We're going to match up round 1. It's going to be over. So, like, just, if you want to unpack your army, you can, but you really don't have to. Just leave it on the board if you want.
Who's your struggle bus? Who do you struggle against?
Please keep in mind that's really out of character for me. I'm not a cocky person, really. Like, and then the person that always gets me, like, every time I play Nick Nanavati, I lose.
Oh, thanks for making that real low stakes. The only person who beats you is the owner of the largest professional coaching service, whose entire team podiums at every GT.
Okay. Every time I draw him, like I draw him round 2 at Charity Hammer, like in the hardest RGT, like every year. And I always, so twice in a row now, I've lost that game. Even when the Falcon favored me to win, which I thought was a really prediction on his part. Like poor planning.
Former ITC champion or LVO champion Nick Nanavati versus Danny from Alaska.
I almost won the first time. I almost won the first time.
And I only say this out of jest because you're in a competitive situation I'll never be in, which is a positive record and recognition as a player.
That's not even true. Stop it. Oh my god.
Tanya, so you said Hellhound is your favorite Imperial Guard unit. What is your favorite unit in all of 40K?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think Telemons are pretty cool.
Oh.
Ugh, is it because they skip leg day? It's just like these really super beefy dreadnoughts with little skinny legs.
I don't know, just like punching with strength 16's pretty cool.
I can see you at the table now and being like, oh, and I wound on 2s.
2s, oh, go.
Whoa, your toughness 8. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
oh, crazy. So what made you started doing kind of pretty consistent until recently, like the hobby streams, the painting streams. You said your Instagram was a way of kind of just showing your progress and tracking your progress. What brought you to the painting stream and kind of wanting to provide that as an entertainment service?
So I was doing a daily podcast, which is really dumb.
That's
do
insane.
that.
We can barely do a weekly one. Holy
Right.
cow.
And that was part of a team, but I was doing that, and then we all sort of had a powwow, and we were like, we can't keep doing this. I was like, yeah, we can't keep doing this. And then I was like, yeah, but now I've got all this extra time that I could do other stuff with, and I was like, well, painting, 80 hours a week or whatever anyway, so maybe I could have some fun and do some streaming on Twitch, and yeah, that was really fun actually. I was started off doing that 2 days a week, but it was too much because I have all the other things that I do on top of it. So that became a little bit not sustainable either. So when I decide to go back from my sabbatical, I will still do 1 day a week streaming.
Cool.
Painting. Yeah.
Now, Tanya, is this painting for yourself, or do you do commissions, or okay?
Do you want to paint a 2,000 point Tau army for Danny in the next week and a half?
No. No, I don't.
Okay.
Go, Danny.
If you have a commission service, I'd want to make sure that we get that mentioned in there or something like that. But if you're just painting your own stuff, that's awesome. I think that's great.
Yeah. People ask me all the time, and I was like, no.
Yep.
You can't afford me anyway.
Yeah, it's important not to just say no, but to belittle the person asking at the same time.
Right.
I've found that myself as well.
That's classic customer service technique right there.
Classic. It's yeah.
What's
What's the favorite miniature you've painted? Because I'm assuming it's been like a wide variety of stuff that you've done for your stream.
Oh man, it's like choosing. I like a lot of different stuff that I do. I'm very proud of my Morkanaut and Gorkanaut that I painted. I painted them to go on Play on Tabletop because basically they were like, "Hey, you want to come to Play on Tabletop? We want you to play your orcs." I was like, "I don't have enough painted," and they're like, "You sure?" I was like, "Okay, I'll paint a Morkanaut and a Gorkanaut because big models take less time for me," and I ended up doing that plus a bunch of other models in a month, which was like amazing for me. I paint really slow normally, so those ones I'm really proud of. Yeah.
Amazing. Now pre-show, you told us in a previous life you were a pawnbroker, which leads me to believe that you know a good eBay deal when you see it for Warhammer. Do you kind of
because we did pawns on Warhammer all the time.
Well, just value and kind of what you can get away with, like the lowest possible price. What's your best Rick from Pawn Stars moment for buying secondhand Warhammer fun?
Nobody's ever brought in Warhammer before.
No.
All right. Well, what's your favorite moment from being a pawnbroker? Like, what's your favorite item that you purchased for the pawn shop?
I purchased a taxidermied hat once. That was pretty cool.
I thought you were going to say head. Oh my
god. No, It's a hat.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. I really thought that was. It was like a dead coyote that you could like
Oh,
wear on your head.
sick.
That
Like
was
with the
pretty
tail?
cool. Yeah, and the face and everything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With the teeth or just the head?
No, there was no
The teeth.
teeth.
I don't know.
No.
I'm just asking. All
There
right,
was
cool.
paws though. That was kind of
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
Guys,
Nice
chat,
touch.
what we've learned tonight is Danny is an expert in taxidermied hats. He needs to know
I have a
whether or
collection
not they got a
going,
good
actually.
deal of skinned hats.
Yep.
Classic.
Famous
Classic
skin
Daddy.
hatter.
That's something else entirely. Ask a question. Give me a second.
That's cool. So, all right. What is the worst thing you've ever had to buy? Like from somebody where you're like, I really don't want to buy this, but like you got the nudge from your boss. They're like, hey, you should definitely buy this. Nothing?
A spa and Grim After Dark.
That's okay if that's your answer.
Yeah, no, we were pretty independent staff members. So
Okay.
there wasn't really any moments where my bosses would ever step in and be like, "Hey, that's actually pretty good." If anything, I was the person, right? Like, "Hey, you know what? That taxidermy hat, you could make money on it."
Did
There's
they?
this guy in Idaho.
They did. They made a
Oh,
lot of
good.
money on it. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
As you've become kind of like bigger in the streaming community and kind of being a known face, shall we say, which is as comfortable as I get calling things. Have you noticed like you've started to be recognized more in like the real world away from the internets?
No.
Oh,
Good answer.
Because
good answer.
I live in West Coast Canada and there's like it's COVID time. There's like nothing going on, right? I haven't been to any real events since I started streaming and stuff. So, no.
There you
It'd be
go, chat.
weird. It would be weird, I think, to have somebody be like, "Hey, you're that person."
Yeah, Danny, how did you feel when someone came up and took a selfie with you?
That was a moment. That's when I knew I really made it.
That's when you knew.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man, Danny, what other questions do you have for Tanya the Warmistress while we have her for attention here?
Oh man, I'm sure you have a ton of these, right? But like, what's your favorite in-game moment that you had, like with any army that you played in any edition? It doesn't matter. Like where you just had like this super solid like memory of like a time where you were having like a ton of fun, and like something really cool happened in the game.
Um, there was this one time actually on that
Mhm.
first play on tabletop battle report where I actually had to charge like a company commander into combat with a bunch of Space Marine characters just to stop them from doing an action, and I couldn't believe that I was actually going to do something with this character because
Yeah.
they don't do anything. But yeah, and I remember thinking this is the craziest thing, but this is the play. Yeah, okay, we're committing to this. This is the way. Yeah.
Awesome. Did he
Mhm.
live?
No.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I love those 50-50 shots that turn into 10-90 shots.
The other really cool thing is it's in the vault, but I did play a game with Mini Wargamer Dave that came down to one dice roll.
Oh,
It was
that's
like
awesome.
an 8-inch charge or something that Dave had to make, and if he missed it, then I won. But if he made it, then obviously my stuff would die and he won. So
Of
yeah,
course,
those
8
are
being Korn's number. I'm
exactly.
assuming the yeah.
Yeah, so of course he made it, but yeah.
You know how some battle
Fair.
reports take like 8 hours to film, like with Play on Tabletop, like with that mini wargaming, Dave just kept on re-rolling that charge till he hit the 8 that he needed in order to win the. Don't worry, we're not going to edit this to make you look bad. And
Yeah.
then, edit it away.
Funny story, my battle reports with Dave also take forever to film, but it's mostly just because we are bantering the entire time when the camera's not rolling.
How many times have you heard the phrase, we have to save this for the camera? Could you stop talking, please?
Not many actually. They probably should say it more. Yeah.
That's fair. Danny, what else have you got? Because you asked a far better question than I had the entire episode so far.
Okay. No, I'm good. I mean, it was really nice to have you on tonight, Tanya.
Yeah.
Aw,
Tanya,
thank you.
thank you so much for coming off your sabbatical, talking to us about Warhammer, which of course is wonderful. I hope you all enjoy. We got to talk about JT, and JT, we love you. We all love you here. Oh, apart from Val, he wanted to be very specific. That was known there. And then yeah, thank you for coming on. Tell you, where can people find you so they can kind of follow along, see your progress, all those other fun things.
Okay. You can find me on my YouTube channel. I do sort of a talk show. I've actually done a couple with Val that are quite interesting. You can find me on my Twitch channel where I stream on Saturdays painting. And you can find me on Scari's Twitch channel as twitch.tv/Scarcast. Thursdays and Fridays, we also do like a sit down and hobby, and we have really cool guests. I am a co host of Forge the Narrative podcast. And then I am also the Warmistress everywhere. So that's Facebook, Twitch, Instagram is the big one, Twitter, basically everywhere. You can find me everywhere.
And let me tell you,
the podcast. That's really great. I need to start listening to that again.
Yeah,
Forge the Narrative, where we talk about competitive all the time.
And let me tell you, it's really hard to find one username that goes across all of social media. So great job on that. That's the most admirable thing. Guys, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow her. She does some amazing things, has some amazing paint jobs. And if you haven't seen her and Scary cast together, it is a really fun time. So definitely check those out. Danny, you and I are going to be back next week with more great guests. Yeah. Shockingly. Every Monday, we are here as make you guys feel like a penance for something wrong you've done. You have to watch us, and we appreciate that. And remember, the first rule of Grim After Dark is you don't talk about it. Don't let your friends know the amazing hour of fun you can have, 10 p.m. Eastern, every Monday right here on the Frontline Gaming Network. And then, yeah, for Danny, Tanya, I've been John, and we will see you Monday.